Hello YouTube, it's Matthew Hawktalon here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to PvP in Wizard101, of course. So, this video is basically for anyone who just wants some basic tips on PvP. I'm not going to go over like every school, every level, obviously, but I'm just going to give some basics for each level and basics for PvP in general. So, okay, let's start out with a normal person, okay? So you get into the arena, and a lot of privates just go right into the arena and they listen to their friends. They're just like, their friends are all like,
do it! Just do it!
so you shouldn't listen to your friends like Shy over here. You don't just go right into the arena because that's just not gonna work. You have to have some experience before you just run right into the arena. Let's make our way to the arena right now so I can give you a few examples. Okay guys, so now that we're at the arena, you go ahead and watch a ranked match, preferably ranked. It would be any 1v1. It doesn't really matter which level. Since she's probably like a Juju spammer, I'm just going to go to one of these. I'm going to try to find a significant rank difference so I can show you a good example. Okay, this looks pretty good. We have a 200 private and like a knight or something. And they're going against each other. So, say you have like a Magus Storm and you're like, oh, maybe I should watch this match. So, watch this match. You can see what the Magus Storm's doing. You can see what the private's doing. When you look at the private, you want to see which spells are hurting them during the match. It could be spells that are either wasting their pips, not helping them at all. Like, say they're using life shields against a Storm Wizard. Like, that's usually not going to help. You can also check out which gear they're using. If you see the Storms using different types of TC, it just basically, just to get an idea. You want to be watching a lot of matches. This is for any school, any level, as I keep on saying. And you just want to just observe, basically. You basically just sit here. Maybe it could take like 10 minutes. It could take 15 minutes. And you want to look at like enchants and stuff. Just everything in general. And just see who wins the match. And just this match right here. This is giving me a ton of knowledge. I now know like basics of Storm. Like as a Storm, you might want to put up a Darkwind. As a Fire, maybe you want a Life Mastery. Just basic stuff like that. If you can keep on building that stuff, you'll know a little more about PvP. Every match you watch. You can actually just go ahead again and look at another match. Or just look at the matches available. So you have like a max balance, a max death, stuff like that. You just want to really look at what's working. You want to have good gear for the level. You should definitely check out what gear people are using. Like, let's look at Fallon Sword right here. She looks like, well, let's see what she is. Okay, she's a level 37. She obviously isn't in PvP gear right now. Or, actually, she might be. She doesn't really, it doesn't really look like she PvPs. But let's go to Benjamin. Let's see what he's using. He looks like he has some pretty good gear on. Okay, so he's a Grandmaster Ice. So, as a Grandmaster Ice, maybe you want to use Glendemming's gear. You see this guy is pretty good. I mean, his rating's not bad. And you can see the type of gear you want. Maybe this is a good suggestion for a mastery over like a Storm Mastery or no master at all. You just basically want to look at all these different varieties and stuff, and you want to choose what works for you. In terms of decks and stuff, you can either basically ask people, like, what deck do you use? What cards do you carry? And you want to be asking people who are warlords normally. Just because they're likely to have a deck that works for them, and it'll probably work for you. You can always make adjustments as well, once you have this, like, starting deck. So let's just look at my deck real quick. My PvP deck, I should probably get that on. Okay, here it is. Yeah, so I have my deck here. Say you watch a video or something. Videos are also a great way to watch people because you can actually see how they're playing and stuff. Like what's in their hand and stuff, how they're discarding. It's all very essential to be good at PvP. So you might have this deck, maybe your friend told you about it, and you may be like, you know, I never use a lot of King Artoriuses. Maybe I'm going to take 2 out for this one match and see how that works. And then slowly your deck will evolve like that, maybe taking 1 or 2 cards out. At the end of every match, maybe putting a few extra ones in that you think you need, and stuff like that, just to create a good deck for yourself. Okay, so now that we have some ideas about how you want to watch people and stuff, especially you want to know your opponent, because if you're fighting a fire and they use an Efreet on you and you don't understand what the Efreet weakness does, that's going to severely hurt you in a match. Or if you're facing an ice and you don't realize they have overtimes, that's also going to severely hurt you. Along with just watching what like someone like you does, say you're a myth, you don't want to just watch other myths. You want to watch other schools as well around your level, or even higher, so you can see what exactly they're using. Especially, you can even go to the Wizard101 wiki pages, and you literally just search up all fire spells Wizard101 wiki. You go to the spell page and you can literally just read all the spells that they have. So there will never be a time during a PvP match where you're like, what is this spell? Like, I've never seen this before. Yeah, just so you're not really surprised. If you've ever watched any of my other PvP videos, you see me all the time calling what spells. Like, oh, he's going to use a blade this round. Oh, he's going to use a shield this round. Oh, he's going to use a Medusa pretty soon. Stuff like that, just because I'm always thinking about what my opponent's going to use. So I can figure out how I am going to defeat them and ultimately win the match. Okay, so also... another good advantage is, since people can stitch clothes, it's really not that helpful to know your opponent's clothing. You can definitely guess based on their level, but it's good to know their pet. If they have like a Spark Beast, and it's Mega, you might be like, oh, it's probably a pretty good Spark Beast, and you'll know which card it gives. This is especially important for maybe someone with an Enchanted Armament pet, like I have on my other guys. I'll actually quickly switch to one of my other guys right now. Yeah, I think it's... I want to say... Well, there's definitely one of my life guys, so I'll just go to him. So if someone has, like, an Enchanted Armament pet, and you're just like, oh, he's probably going to start blade stacking because he doesn't have... He has that pet. And that's basically with other stuff as well. Yeah, because this does give the blade sharpens, and you want to know that card as well. You want to know all the cards for all the schools, basically. It might take a little time, for sure. But if you've played the game, you've quested on a character, you're likely to know a good amount of the spells. Other important things are like, if you see a low level with one of these flamingo pets, you're going to know that that low level has availing hand cards and stuff like that, just so you can be prepared for what's coming and how to defeat your opponent. Okay, so now getting to basic levels. Okay, so there's a lot of different tiers of PvP. We're going to start off with, like, novice. So, like, level 1. Well, how about we just start from level 1 to level 10. So, basically, at this level, you're going to have a very few options on what to use. You're going to have a side deck maybe consisting of... let's get our starter deck on right here. I think I do have one. Maybe not. But you're going to have a pretty small deck. You always want to use the biggest deck you can for any level of PvP, just as like a basic guide. And what you want to do is, again, watch people your level PvP. And at this level, you normally want to go for like a TC hit. Common strategies include like Ore Thrust, stuff like that. You just want to like bleed up once or twice and just hit them if they kill them. It kind of depends on what school, and again, you'll get most of your information just from watching other people around your level. So it's definitely really helpful. And, okay, so now off to level 10 through 20. At this level, it's going to get a little more complicated. You might start seeing, like, more advanced spells, maybe some dispels even, and stuff like that. You might see some, like, heavier blades, like new minions, stuff like that, coming up on the board. So you're pretty much responsible for knowing all those spells. Just so you won't be surprised ever during a PvP match. Yeah, that's basically it. So at this level, you're going to see some bigger hits often. Not many people will spam at the lower levels. I suppose there are a few exceptions. There are some people who like to use Vengeance and stuff, along with pets that give multiple damages and stuff. But you always want to be ready for that. At the start of every match, I'm actually going to show you in a minute, as I keep talking. So, yeah, okay, so I'm going to keep talking real quick. And from level 20 to 30, it's going to get a little more advanced. You're probably going to see a lot more masteries. And I'll show you how to identify a mastery. Maybe we could watch one of these matches. Well, okay, yeah. Let's actually quit out for a second. So, how to identify a mastery? If you don't know, a mastery is just basically an amulet that allows you to use power pits for 2 different schools. You're going to start seeing these a lot around level 20 to 30. And if they have like a myth mastery, be expecting like myth hits and stuff. But don't expect stuff like, well, basically, yeah, just expect stuff a myth wizard would do. So prepare to defend yourself from myth hits and whatever school they are. In this case, my balance has a myth mastery, so you want to be prepared for balance and myth hits, just so you can adapt and survive, hopefully, as long as you can. And okay, yeah, so for level 30 to 40, you basically want to have a much bigger deck. You do want to have a lot more minions and stuff. And you want to play like kind of a slower game. Except if you're like Storm or Fire. Maybe even Balance. If you have like Lore Master or something, it might be a good idea to spam instead. Say you have a good pet and stuff for that. It is very essential to have a pretty decent pet. And the thing about pets, you can really customize them however you want. Right now we have 5 different abilities and then a socket, which you can affix to a pet. Just so that it's as good as you want it to be. And this can be used for like any of your characters, not just the one you want to focus on for Warlord, but any future ones you want to make or any past ones that you haven't been using. Okay, so getting on to level 40 to 50. This is a pretty uncommon level, to be honest. Again, you want to play it like Magus, kind of. You do want to play slower, and you do need to be careful of critical, because a lot of people you fight are going to have the critical. Okay, before I continue on, I just got to show you guys this. Every time you get into a battle, no matter what it is, maybe it's a 2v2, a 1v1, just any PvP match in general, you do want to go to this left chat box here, go to battle orders, and look at the symbol. This will tell you the school of the wizard, just so you're not confused about like what spells they're going to use. This guy doesn't have a mastery, so I wouldn't expect him to use any damaging spells other than myth. He could definitely use like tower shield and stuff, but it's less likely. So going on to 40 to 50, levels 40 to 50, I'm going to flee real quick. You basically just want to play a slower game. So I did start talking about watching out for critical. You're definitely going to have to watch out for that. Even if you might even start facing it in the first like 2 or 3 matches, if you start ranking up and winning right away. So you just have to understand how that works, the different statistics, and the different gear people could have. You again want to pay attention to what gear your opponents, along with your friends, use at that level. And especially pay attention to Warlord, the gear of Warlords, and people of your own school. Yeah, so you always want to have a plan before you go into a match, how you're going to play. As a Storm and a Fire, I normally suggest playing faster, the harder your school can hit. And it also depends on your pet. It's really ultimately your choice. You kind of have one of 3 options. You can be really defensive, as you can see with my life guy here. He bases his playstyle on a lot of heals. A Juju Spammer, a Jade would all do the same thing. And then go for basically a one-shot at the end. Which is a good way to play. It's definitely not bad at all. And it is pretty time-consuming, though. Another strategy would be the glass cannon strategy. That just refers to people who spam a lot. This also depends on the level range. Some level ranges, such as max level, you want to use a glass cannon strategy normally, or at least a good balance between the tanking and the fast-paced strategy, which I just referred to. But yeah, so there is the middle area where you want to have a decent amount of defense and attacks, so you can attack when you need to and you can defend when you need to as well. Yeah, that's basically the 3 main things. And then we can get on to talking about level 50s to 60s. So if you're new to PvP, I'd personally suggest, or if you want to rank up in PvP, you want to have a warlord, you want to have a guy on leaderboards, I'd suggest going right with a level 50, because this is honestly ridiculously easy level to PvP at compared to the others. I mean, it still could be a challenge, especially if you're Storm or something, because they tend not to be nearly as good at level 50 as others are. But for level 50s to 60s, you basically just want to, again, play more defensive. You do want to have, normally want to have big attacks in your side deck in order to kill. If you're Ice, you'd have like Snow Angel. If you're Life, maybe you'd have a Myth Mastery and use like Medusa and stuff. And there are plenty of grants out there that you can ask. You can be like, yo, man, what mastery do you use? What do you keep in your deck? Like, do you use any other TC stuff? Like, in my case, I do use TC heals because I don't have a life mastery. If you had a life mastery, you could easily train like Satyr and stuff and basically see what other people are using. I still wouldn't suggest really spamming at this level. A lot of people are under the impression that, say, a lore spam, which is a hard to get spell, is really good at legendary and like, which is level 60, and grandmaster, which is level 50. I personally don't think it's that great. Even if you have like 80 damage or something, that's basically the max you can get. It's still hard to pull off against a lot of your opponents who will be able to heal at that level. So I always think you should always use a bigger hit to supplement a spamming type strategy. Before we get on to the next level range, I do want to talk a little bit about minions. In the lower level ranges, especially the ones I've already talked about, minions are probably going to play a pretty key role. So you really want to have some spells in order to kill minions. You also want to have some heals in deck. No matter what school you are, that's definitely going to help you to recover after hits and stuff, along with some shields. Again, the preference for shields, you're going to have to test out, you're going to have to see what people are using at your level. But yeah, to kill a minion, you basically want to have, if you're going for a big hit, you want to have an off-school spell to kill the minion. So, I can actually show you a really good example of this, even if you don't have a mastery. For example, I'll show you real quick. On my balance, I tend to kill my their minions with balance spells, my opponent's minions, and I use the Myth Mastery as the final kill. Since I don't have any blades for balance, just because balance, you really can't blade stack well, for balance, it's better to use the main school as the minion killing tool. Where Ronin Titanbringer here, I use my blades to hit. My death spells are my main attacks, usually, along with myth spells. So, I usually keep, oh yeah, here they are. Scorpions. Okay, I keep 3 scorpions in. They're really cheap. You basically just enchant these with monstrous TC. If you don't know, they're just enchants. In the bazaar, you can definitely find plenty of them. The bazaar is going to be your key place, your key source of all TC that you're ever going to need. You do want to use TC. If someone calls you a TC noob, just shake their head, or shake your head at them and be like, TC is like half of PvP, basically. Treasure cards are half of PvP. Because without them, none of my guys would really be successful. People who choose not to use them really just aren't experienced, or they just don't want to put in the time to kind of like make a deck and stuff for them. Of course, it is possible to succeed without it, but it's a lot harder. And I really suggest using TC, no matter what school you are. Okay, so getting the 60s to 70s. Here, you're going to start healing less normally, depending on what school you are. Most schools, you want to have a heal, especially in the lower levels. But at this level, you're going to start healing a lot less and playing a lot more like max levels. I'm actually going to group level 70s and 80s into one. Or actually, yeah, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Everything but 100 into one big category. So basically, for this 70s, 80s, and 90s, you want to have, again, like crafted gear and stuff. You can watch people. This is, again, a rare level to PvP at, especially nowadays, since the max level is level 100. At this level, it's going to be pretty hard to play at. You're going to have to really just watch other people. You can even reference legendaries, or you can reference max levels for ideas on how you want to play, because you're going to see very few of these people. And my suggestion personally, especially if you're new at PvP, would be to go right to max level, or just keep your guy at a lower level for now until you're more experienced and until you can handle a higher level of PvP, because it's much different as you get to level 100. Before I get to level 100 PvP, I'm just gonna explain one of the most essential facts. Okay, guys, so I decided it would be better to move to the actual arena, just so I could talk about what I was about to say. And I'm just going to show you again the battle orders. You do want to memorize the symbols. Tan is like balance. So I know he's a balanced wizard. He has no mastery right now, so I know he's probably not going to go for anything big that's off school and costs pips. So since he is balanced, a lot of people I see, not just, like, a lot of people, this is an error of a lot of people, so they keep their hand, they're like, no problem, I have a blade in hand, and I'm just going to use this. If you didn't catch what I just did there, you should rewind the video, rewind quotes, because you're not really rewinding it, go back in the video, and try to think about what I just did wrong there. Just so you can think about it. It kind of sounds like school or something. But anyways, okay, so if you didn't catch that, or you did catch that, what I did is I kept my hand in horrible shape. Like, I don't need a sacrifice right now. I don't need a conviction right now. I don't need a dream shield right now. I might even want to start drawing. Maybe my strategy is going for 2 blades and then hitting. So I might start drawing so I can find what I need to find when I need to find it. Now I'm going to go for the blade again. And since I don't even need the sacrifice even, because I have a death blade already, I'm not going to waste that. This becomes more and more essential as you're ranking up. As you get better, you're going to find that you need cards when you need them, especially if your deck isn't completely finished just yet. You're going to end up needing these cards more and more. So I'm just going to flee this match. Yeah, I guess I'll flee the match. And yeah, that's basically the video. I'm not going to talk about max level because I don't really like it. And yeah, roll credits, let's go. Okay, that was pretty random. I don't know why I did that. I am going to talk about max level PvP. Don't worry. I know it's everyone's favorite level of PvP. So KingsIsle has progressively sped up the meta. Like, they were like, oh, let's make J-Gear, and then we slowed down the meta so that it was everyone play like tanks, and then they were like, oh no, we have to fix it, so let's go to the next extreme, let's give everyone 50 pierce, 500 critical, and that'll fix everything, yo, we're good, we're getting money, yo, and that's basically what happened behind the closed doors of KingsIsle. I know it myself because I am telepathic when it comes to these things. Yeah, don't ask anyone why. Okay. Actually, I do have some max level friends on, so let's use their stats as an example. Okay, yeah, so you can see this is a basic max level. He has really high damage, really good resist, really good accuracy. This is crazy. If you look at Promethean level 90, you're going to have a lot lower stats. You have 400 critical, 300 block, 45 armor pierce, 100 power pip. There's basically all the aspects of lower level PvP are just crushed, destroyed. You're not going to have like any resist with that pierce. You're not going to have any chance of not getting a power pip. And you're also not going to face people with bad stats. Even this guy. Look at that damage. Look at that resist. Look at everything he has. And then look at my guy. Even I have good stats. So you basically want to know, you're going to find out pretty quickly that a lot of people use Dark more, or at least a mix of it, and a lot of people at max level have good pets. Max level is honestly the most competitive level of all, because people are like, yo, I have a character, I can get it to max level, and they just fly to max level, and they're like, yo, let's PvP on max level, because why not? So, max level. There is very little chance, a very slim chance that you're going to succeed playing slowly, or even healing. The only school that I recommend putting heals in would be Death, maybe one Sacrifice, Balance, maybe a few Availing Hands, and also Life. They should definitely put in some Satyrs and stuff. Just because they can critical their heals, which is really beneficial. Because as you can see, look at this house, 5,000 health, 5,102 health to be exact. And I'm not even a school with a lot of health. Actually, don't even have my correct ring on, but you can see the ring, you can see the pierce jewels, everything, stun resist, just crazy at max level. Yeah, so what was I talking about? Okay, so sorry about that. Someone was approaching and I had to cut the video. Another school that can play kind of tank-like, well, main schools that can play tank-like are really Life and Death if they want to use Shade Gear. That's still not going to work very well. I'd suggest using offensive, almost glass cannon strategy as a max level wizard. This guy's saying hello to me. I'm assuming he knows me. Because I don't think he talked to me because I'm a mute. Hello, Jack Sandeyes, if you're watching this video. Yeah, so you basically want to play pretty fast. If you decide to play a slow player, like you, for example, you use a Life Mastery as a Myth Wizard. Okay, this might seem really good at lower levels. You'll see a lot of people using it at lower levels. But, at max level, it's just not going to cut it, since you can't really critical heals. 130 critical isn't enough to get you by, especially with lower heal boost and stuff like that. Like 32 is really not a lot. So playing like that at max level is like robbing a bank, and once you're done robbing the bank, you're like, oh, I forgot like a pillowcase to put all the money in. Whatever you use to get the money out of the bank. So it's like completely pointless. Like if you go in with a mastery, it's like completely pointless because you're almost guaranteed to lose every match. If I use any mastery, basically, I'm guaranteed to lose basically every match. Yeah, you have to go for the best of the best stuff. You can definitely watch just tons of deck setups, gear setups for max level, since it is the most popular. And you do want to base your strategy upon them, but also change it. I'd also recommend for max level is going for a smaller deck, especially if you're a weaker school. The weakest schools right now at max level, especially for 1v1, are Storm, Myth, and Death. All these schools have their disadvantages, and it makes them a lot worse than all the others. So yeah, small decks help you to find your cards quick, so you don't really need to have as great discarding skills necessarily. You're still gonna have to discard a lot. If you don't discard a lot, you're basically, that's not good at all. You need to discard. I gotta press this. Discard, 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 discard. If you don't discard, you're not gonna be nearly as good. You might not realize it. You might be like, oh, I'm waiting for the perfect hand, but you can't wait for it. You have to get the perfect hand. Other things I suggest carrying, you can start using the spells and stuff for the best schools, which happen to be Fire and Balance. It is pretty good for max level. Not gonna lie. A lot of schools carry these. I'm only focusing so much on max level because it is very popular. Also for max level, you wanna have a pretty set strategy. You want to use a select amount of cards. Maybe at other levels like Grandmaster, you're going to use a lot more variety. But spells like, say, Minotaur, spells like Orthrus, you really, like the weaker spells for all your schools, for all the schools. Like I don't have spam hits in here and stuff like that, because that's not how I'm going to play. And you just always want to be based on what you're going to do for every single match. Okay, so the video is about to end, and I know you might be like, oh wow, he just told us to watch some people, and discard and stuff. That wasn't that helpful. Well, it might not have been too helpful for you, especially if you're experienced. But if someone's not as experienced, say they're like 100 private, and they didn't D-rank, this could definitely help them a lot. Share it with a friend if you know they're struggling at maybe a certain level. They could have warlords on every single character, but say their one max level character isn't doing too well and they don't really understand why. And these like guidelines can definitely help someone in PvP. Oh yeah, and for one last thing, I beg of you guys, I beg, even more than discarding, I want you guys not to give up. If you're like, Myth at max level looks really hard, or Storm at level 1 looks really hard to pull off. Like, how am I ever gonna do this? I'm just not gonna PvP on that guy. I'm just gonna do it on another guy. I want you to try as hard as you can. I just want you guys to put in, using the like suggestions I'm giving you, try on that character. It might be a level 50, might be a level 60, might be a max level. I just want you to give it a chance. Give it some time. Everything takes practice, not even in this game, in real life as well. You're not going to know how to kick a soccer ball or run 10 miles, run a marathon even, without a little practice. It might seem like just the game, but of course, everything takes practice, including this game. It's definitely fun when you finally get to like adapt the strategy, gear, and you're all set, and you're basically just going to have fun ranking up and stuff like that. And you definitely want to know also about different, what's the word I'm looking for, functions of the game, including like how critical works, how pierce works, how buffs work, how debuffs work, and just stuff like that, in addition to just the spells and how they work, like damaging spells and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did indeed enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. One last thing. So you do want to play like kind of the same every match, but sometimes you do want to try to change it up. Add some new cards in, add some new TC in, add some new mastery. Just try different stuff. Play unexpected. The more unexpected you play, the better you're going to take down people like me. People who realize or can predict pretty well what a basic player is going to do. If you play differently, you're more likely to beat us because we're not going to know how to handle you. So you're using a fire mastery and you're spamming fire beetles, but so we start fire shielding or something, and then you just go in for like, I don't even know, you go in for like an Orthrus or something. We didn't even realize you were going to go for that. It might me not be that abstract of a like strategy, but it could work. So yeah, and I'm out again.
Hey guys, I'm Baba Slap, and I approve this message.